Premier was going to announce the ANC owned. Please don't say that, ne? Please. Please don't say it, because
creative.
I know you guys, you can say it. What I'm saying, the Premier was not going to announce the DA in his cabinet. The Premier was going to announce a provincial of government unity led by the ANC, constituted by the ANC and other parties represented in the legislature, because the ANC in Gauteng has sealed and concluded a deal with other parties in the legislature. I think that should be clear. However, the DA decided through their provincial leader Msimang to go in public and make allegations that ANC is unreasonable and that they were not going to come, they were going to boycott. They were not boycotting anything, they were not invited. They were not going to be here anyway. So that's what we wanted to make clear, that in Gauteng, the ANC does not want a coalition with the DA. It will not have a coalition with the DA. But in Gauteng, the ANC will work with all the parties, including the DA. That should be made clear, because the DA is behaving as if we have a coalition. It's us and them. The ANC National Executive Committee adopted a framework. We are guided by that framework, nothing else. So, and our position is clear, as the provincial secretary is saying, we are forming a provincial government of unity. As the ANC, we are forming the government, we are leading the government, we are inviting other parties. We have made this clear to the DA that we are inviting them, but they're behaving as if it's us and them. And then if we don't agree, then things fall apart. No, that's why the Premier, the list he's got in his pocket now, it doesn't have the DA. It has other parties. Let's take others.
We just don't believe that we can be bullied by Democratic Alliance in Gauteng. And that's what brought us where we are. Because we would have closed this thing 2 weeks ago. But because they believe they negotiate, I don't believe at this point, including going into the media and talking about negotiations to that detail, is negotiating in good faith. So from where we are, we will not even venture into what would have Gauteng offered, or rather what would the ANC offered Democratic Alliance. But what we are saying is that if they are coming back, they must accept that other parties will be part. And they must accept that the ANC will lead this provincial government of unity.
No, if we are afraid to answer this question.
What question is it?
No, you want to negotiate. No, you negotiate in part. Because what the provincial secretary said, you know, DA, one of the things they are trying to do, they firstly want to impose which political party you must work with. They want to negotiate for other political parties. They come with issues, proportional representation. We said we don't have a problem as a matter of principle, but it's proportional representation of what? So those are some of the things. Not like we are scared to deal with the details. And it's not true that we offer them to. It's not true. So please don't raise it again, because we don't want to enter into negotiations with the DA in public. But we are clear, and we said to them, let's frame this thing properly. This is not a coalition with the ANC. This is a provincial government of unity. We are inviting you. And hence, in the last meeting, they said, no, we are declining the invitation because we're not agreeing. We said, fine. But the DA did not believe that the announcement will go ahead today. Because for some reason, they believe they are in charge, they are responsible for us, and they are leading us in the legislature. We are not led by the DA. The only reason why we are here now explaining is because the national leadership of the ANC has asked that, no, maybe wait so that we intervene. ANC is a unitary structure. Later I was saying the Premier is ready, he was going to announce, but ANC is a unitary structure guided by principle of democratic centralism. When the leadership of the ANC says, wait, we can't say, no, we are proceeding because we are ready. We have concluded with other parties. In fact, maybe that's what we must say. We have concluded with other parties. It's only the DA that is behaving like a spoiled brat. And now we must be entertaining that. Let me take other questions. No.
Concessions, I think, like Comrade Lebza has said, and I don't want to repeat what they have said, we are bringing everyone. Concessions can't only about DA. It makes sense when we only give DA. But when we are saying, wait, let's give others, let's agree, we're coming together, it's not correct. We don't agree to that. We are saying, let's agree that we're bringing everyone, including these small parties that in your mind they are small parties. Because we have learned from municipalities that once you depend on one party, a lot of things can happen. So that's why we are going with the spirit of our leadership in bringing all the parties, including DA. So this thing of proportion that they are trying to raise as a principle, we don't agree with it. Because it means bigger parties must take everything and smaller parties must see to finish. That's where we disagree fundamentally with them. Or if they take, it must be about what they take from the ANC. So I just think we really disagree with them in that context. But outside of that, we are not an arrogant Gauteng ANC. And please, let's not portray it as such. We are very respectful. We don't speak to media unnecessarily. We don't insult anyone. We speak when we have to clarify issues that have to do with the people of Gauteng and the African National Congress. That's why we're here. We're speaking for the first time on the issue of coalition, ever since we started engaging on them, because we have never done that. But because we saw that there's a narrative, and people who are, leakists, people who leak letters, they leak engagements, you don't negotiate in good faith when you do that. Even tomorrow, we'll take our jackets, we'll follow leadership, and go and engage. But we have our principles that we believe are respected at all levels. And it follows the framework. They said the party, even the framework of the ANC, you know it. It's very clear. So we're following that.
That the DA is raising. And we're saying it's not true. And at the same time, we're saying this is not a coalition with the DA. That's why we must not reduce it to what the DA gets. But how are we accommodating all the parties? The ANC, in these negotiations, believe it or not, is the one that has been saying, let's bring everybody. In fact, even the smallest party represented in the legislature. And DA does not care. Basically, DA's attitude is that, no, we are big parties. If we have a deal, we are sorted. We are saying, no, we don't want that. That's what DA wants from us.
In fact, it cares about the party that they want us to appoint.
Exactly.
So how do you work that?
Exactly. So they want us to appoint a certain party and all that. So we have been principled, and that's why we've not even come out in public and all that. Because we are saying, no, we want to work even with the one-seat person party. DA saying, no, man, leave these people. They're big guys. So we are not going to do that. Sure. Number two.
Good evening. Breaking from MEC.
Will be developed.
Yeah.
Because the agreement must deal with the principles, the values, it must deal with the minimum program, must deal with how are you going to resolve problems if you have and all that. So at this point, we're engaging with parties individually. In fact, what the DA is not telling you is that there was a draft agreement between us and them. And the reason it was not signed is because it was just the framing. They wanted us to sign an agreement with them on behalf of other parties. We said, no, we can have an agreement with you. They, in fact, went to the provincial secretary and said, sign, quick, at the day of the legislature. And they came to me and said, hey, the provincial secretary does not want to sign. I asked the provincial secretary. The provincial secretary said, no, I'm reading. These people are saying this is an agreement between the DA and other parties. And we had even agreed on the number of what the DA will get in the executive, what the DA will get, including the deputy speaker, in the legislature. Then we're supposed to go to other parties and say, what are you getting, party X, Z? Other parties even said, no, we don't want to be part of the executive because we're having a holistic discussion. Other parties even said, we want to actually watch over you. There are parties that have said, but we can't divulge here. That said, we want to watch over you, we don't want to join you in the executive. So that's what transpired.